Today we're going to go over soft splints, and I'm going to show you how to do a improvised soft splint for an ankle. First, you're going to begin by, you come up and somebody has you suspect an ankle injury, wrist injury, one of the furthest extremities. That's what the soft splint is used for. So you suspect an ankle injury. First thing you're going to do is you're going to check for circulation, make sure they already have circulation in that extremity. You could do this a couple different ways. There's a couple different pulses on the foot. If the person is not wearing a shoe, there's a pulse on the top of the foot. If they're wearing a shoe or a boot, there's also a pulse on the inside of the ankle. So I'll show you how to first off check those two pulses. The one on the top is called the dorsalis pedis, and the way you're going to get to that one is to find the EAHL tendon, the exterior hallucis longus tendon, and the way you find that is to have the person lift their big toe, and it's that tendon that's right here beside the big toe. You can follow that back, and right at the end of the tendon, right on the inside of it, toward the center of the foot is where you're going to find that pulse. Now, only about 20% of the population actually can actually find a pulse there. So probably the better one would be the posterior tibial pulse, and I'll show you how to find that one as well. I'll show you on this foot because it's on the inside. So what you'll do is you'll run along, and it's going to be on the back side of the medial malleolus, which is this round bone on the ankle joint. Not to be confused with the ball of the foot, it's the round bone on the ankle. So you're going to follow that back, and it's going to be between that and the Achilles tendon. There's a pulse right here behind it in between. And you always want to feel with two fingers. You don't want to feel with your thumb, you'll confuse yourself. So you can feel a pulse there. If that doesn't work, to feel either pulse, you can always use the CSM method, circulation, sensation, and movement. You can say, can you feel this? Yeah, so she can feel that. She's ticklish. Can you move your toes? Circulation would be push and see if there's blood flow returns. So circulation, sensation would be the feeling, and then the movement of the foot. So that's the first thing you do. Once you determine that they do have circulation, like I said, if they're wearing a high top shoe or boot or any type of shoe, really, just leave that on. There's no need to take that off because pulling of it could risk more damage. Just leave it on. They provide compression, partial support. Slide the bandages or strips. So you're going to get some bandages or strips of something, anything you may have. Now, keep in mind that these soft splints are only if there's not an emergency department on scene. So if EMS is close by, or you're somewhere that has medical support, you're not going to splint something. This is if you're out camping or you're out in the middle of nowhere, you got to carry this person out of a situation. So you're going to get anything that you can to help out in the situation. Say I was out camping, I had my dogs with me, and I had a couple dog leashes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have this foot, it's going to be supported here. I'm going to slide these up underneath the Achilles tendon, like this, okay? Okay, I'm going to slide it up above and below the suspected injury. So I don't want to do it right above a fracture, because if I put pressure down upon that, it could turn that into an open fracture, push that bone up out of the skin. So you want to do it above, say it's suspected here, and do it above and below. You want to use as many of these as you have to provide enough support. So I'm going to do one thick one above and a couple thin ones below. That's all I really have right now. So like that. So I suspect the injury's here. I'm going to go above and below. So slide the bandage strips of clothing underneath the Achilles tendon. Okay. Prepare the soft splinting material. So again, you're going to be out camping. You're going to have something like a blanket or a sleeping bag. You're going to take this blanket, lay it out, and you're going to roll it. Roll it like this. Something soft is what you want. And then you're going to take and you're going to make it into a U. Stick that along the person's bottom of that extremity. Okay? Just like this. And then I'm going to come up over top and I'm going to hold that with my legs so that it's held in place. Okay? Then I'm going to take that top one that I have and I'm going to take and I'm going to tie it on here. Now when you're doing the splint, again, you're not going to want to do the knot right up over top of the person's skin. You want to do it on one side or the other of the so it's over top of the bandage itself. And then you're going to want to go pretty tight on here because, again, you want it to support. This is soft material, so you want this to support. You can tie that on there pretty tight to make sure that it supports the splint. So again, take the bottom ones now, tie these again up over top of the thing itself, and you're going to go pretty tight with them just so that you can make sure that it's supporting. Okay, I could even do one on the inside and the other side here. Just make sure you do it above and below the actual injury. So that's pretty secure. And at this point, I could carry this person out from wherever we are. Tell the pages, make sure you caught all the steps here. Recheck. Okay, after you're done, you're going to recheck for circulation. As you can tell, this is pretty, covered up here. I don't have access to that dorsal pedis pulse, which is right on top of the foot, and nor do I have access to the posterior tibial pulse either, because they're both covered up. So what I could do at this point is the CSM method, circulation, sensation, movement. I can still see the tops of the foot, the toes here. I can push, make sure there's good blood flow, blood return to those toes. It's going to be circulation. I can still stick my finger down in there. Can you feel this?
Yes.
Okay, so she's still ticklish. You can feel it. Can you move your toes? Okay, so she did all three of those. CSM method works. She still has circulation. Again, only apply the splint if the injured person needs to be moved and emergency medical services are not available on site. If emergency personnel are en route or are on site, then you don't do that. You call them and they can come out. They're going to have more professional splints. But